All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. I have a few things I want to get into. I want to talk about just all signs are pointing to Jalen Hurts, obviously, as we know, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but also just as of recent reports, it seems like Javon Hargrave is feeling good going into this season, guys. And what I mean by that, I mean, obviously, I touched on Javon Hargrave a little bit the other day, just basically saying, we're not really sure what the fate is going to be. He does have a high cap hit, but he is one of those guys who did start off slow last season, as he was a new free agent acquisition going into last season, and did start to pick up as the season went on. But he did come out and say on social media that he does feel like he has a whole nother level that he can tap into. And Jalen Hurts went ahead and responded as well, and with a positive response. And so Javon Hargrave is one of those guys who's definitely one to look out for, because he is a great defensive tackle. I just feel like it took him a little bit to get comfortable in Jim Schwartz's scheme, but I do feel like he will probably fit better in Jonathan Gannon's scheme. And so really excited that Javon Hargrave is feeling good. And what I mean, and moving on to Jalen Hurts, what I mean about all signs pointing to Hurts, the guys are excited. The guys are excited that Jalen Hurts is getting the chance to be the full-time starter. And so the reason why I want to touch on this a little bit is, look, if the Eagles go with a quarterback early in this draft, they're risking another locker room division if there isn't one already. And speaking of locker room divisions, I can go back to, Chris Lawn had Malcolm Jenkins on his podcast the other day, and they were talking about how Carson Wentz was never a locker room cancer. And it goes against everything that was ever said about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was never this. Carson Wentz was never that. He was a little shy earlier in his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, and came across as standoffish to some people, but never really was standoffish in a negative way. That's just kind of who he was. He was a leader in that way. And so trading your franchise quarterback is going to cause some locker room division, especially when you have some guys that didn't want him benched in the first place, like a Jason Kelce, like a Fletcher Cox, people of that nature. But as far as the young guys are concerned, they're excited to play with Jalen Hurts. And so all signs are pointing to Jalen Hurts. And so drafting a quarterback in the first round could risk another locker room division. And and so that's one of the things that Howie Roseman, of all people, should be avoiding at all costs. Another really important thing that I think is really important for us to address moving forward, just because we're getting closer to the brink of free agency, is just some contract extensions that I think can really help us, that we might witness as the weeks come along here. And so I'm going to go over some pretty important ones as we move along. Starting with Brandon Brooks. Now, Brandon Brooks is in the area now where he's going to start seeing cap hits of 17 million, 16 million, 17 and 17 million in 24. So it's going to be 17 million in 2021 this year, 16 million in 2022 next year, 17 million in 2024. So if we went ahead and gave him a contract extension, we would be saving ourselves about $7.5 million. Now, obviously, that's a huge chunk of money that will definitely help us out a lot. So I definitely see Howie Roseman trying to do that, especially if they see him as somebody who can still perform at a high level. Now, speaking of Brandon Brooks, we know that he was activated off of he was activated for that 21 game practice window for that week 17, but we sat a lot of our starters for that final week, so he could have gone but just did not. So I'm assuming he is still healthy and he should be ready to go, hopefully pending hopefully God forbid he suffers another injury, he should be ready to go for day one of the 2021 season. Fletcher Cox is another one, guys. Fletcher Cox is another one. He will count for $23 million, almost $24 million against the cap in 2021. $23 million in 2022, and the last year of his deal that he signed a few years ago is just going to be an additional $6.5 million of dead money after the contract ends. So by extending Fletcher Cox 2 years, we could literally save $11.9 million. So right there, if both of those things happen, we're looking at about $19 million in savings there with just the contract extensions of both of those guys. And so that frees up a lot of space. And then we got a couple more moves we can do. Derrick Barnett, especially, as we all know, Derrick Barnett is set to perform and play on his 5th-year option. Now, he is one of those guys that I could definitely see getting extended or getting cut. Here's the thing with this one. If he gets cut, it saves us $10 million. If he gets extended, it saves us $7.2 million. So that's $26 million if he gets extended, with the totality of all 3 of those players that we would save. And then $39 million. Or 29 million if Derrick Barnett gets cut. And then Marquise Goodwin is another one. So Goodwin, obviously Goodwin didn't play. He did sit out the season due to possibly adding a new member to the family, and also for COVID reasons this past season. And he was a new acquisition, and it was one of those trades that went under the wire that I thought was a phenomenal little trade made by Howie Roseman on draft day. And really excited about it. So was kind of felt kind of bad that he just wasn't able to play. But he's one of those guys where if we extend him and give him a 2-year extension, we could save $2.3 million right there. So we're looking at $31 million somewhere along those lines, just by extending or cutting, with the extensions of just those four players there. So it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. And Howie Roseman is phenomenal at these things, and we still have more players to go. And the other big one, obviously, is we can either do an extension or a restructure with our offensive tackle Lane Johnson. Now, obviously, he suffered some injuries over the last couple of years, and it's unfortunate, but I don't see them wanting to get rid of him quite yet. We're just not at that point with Lane Johnson yet. We kind of need him to be back and healthy and performing at a high level. And so I think that we're going to go that route. So either an extension or a restructure for Lane Johnson. We will save $6.9 million. So $7 million. So that kind of brings us to saving somewhere around the $40 million mark, if you round all of that up, guys. And that brings us to a possible pretty positive mark for free agency. And if there's anybody, despite all of the negative talk that we have about Howie Roseman, all the things that we disagree with, and just kind of the hoopla and the craziness and the stupid decisions that he makes that make absolutely no sense, there is one thing that we can say for sure, is that he is phenomenal at this. And so I'm sure he's already on the pulse of all of this. He's already got his finger on the pulse of all of these things. So with those 5 players there, they can save around $40 million on the books. And that should be a route that they should go. And I'm sure that Howie Roseman already has his finger on the pulse, as I said. But I want to jump back to Jalen Hurts real quick. I am so happy that these young players are gravitating towards Jalen Hurts. I really am, because it shows that Jalen has the leadership quality like no other. Like, it just comes naturally to him. They're following him. They're doing everything. They're following the right guy. And with that said, to back that up, we know that Jalen is doing all the right things. We know that Jalen Hurts is doing all the right things. He's working out with Deshaun Watson, and he's working out with a private QB coach. He's working out 24/7. He's working on his fundamentals. He's working on his passing game. He's doing all these things. He's working on his footwork. And so he has not taken a day off. He's attacked its off season as if his life depended on it. And it kind of does. It kind of does, because here's the thing. Whether they take a quarterback in the first round this season or not, they are thinking about it, and they have it at the top of their brain, because Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman do definitely want to do this. They don't want last season to happen again. Because and Jeffrey Lurie, of course, does not want last season to happen again. Jeffrey Lurie has dreams and visions of a top 5 offense. He has said that for the last 3 years, and over the last 3 years, we haven't been able to give it to him. Since 2017, that's what he's wanted. He's wanted the Kyle Shanahan. He's wanted the Sean McVay. He's wanted the Sean Payton. He's wanted a top 5 offense. That's the point. That is the point. And since the Super Bowl year, we just have not been able to give it to him. And Howie Roseman, of all people, should definitely make sure that it does not happen again, because his job is on the line as well. And I think it's just one of those things where we're just not hearing about it. Because he's not going to tell you that. He's going to try and do it through action, but he has to make sure he makes the right moves. And that is a tall glass of water for Howie Roseman. It certainly is. But I'm glad that Javon Hargrave is feeling good. That is good news. He is a guy that I do want to keep. They might need to restructure him too. But it's one of those things where I feel good about him. I believe he's only 27 years old. He is a good defensive tackle. It was a shame for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have to let him go in free agency. But it's good for us as long as we can get him moving and get him going. So hopefully we can do that. The other thing too is, obviously, there's questions surrounding the Brandon Graham contract. What options do we have? If we went ahead and released him, we wouldn't be saving that much. We wouldn't be saving that much money when it comes to Brandon Graham, but he might be another one of those guys where we probably have to extend him to save a little bit of cap. But off the top of my head, I do not have the details and the information on his contract quite yet, but that is certainly something that I will have for you guys by the next time that I get on a live stream, which will either probably be later today or probably tomorrow, as always. And But hey, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I appreciate it, and have a happy Sunday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and guys, always remember, and please show your loving support at streamlabs.com/dbtalkingnow/tip. And all donations are recycled, guys. They are redistributed back into the stream so I can bring you guys better content and just a better stream, a better looking stream. And then also, if you'd like to visit the merch store, I do have a new item up there as well. It's the DB Talking Now vintage hat, which I think is really cool. And then we also have some other items as well, but there will be some new stuff, and I'll probably be doing some modifications as well to the merch store. But go ahead and check it out. That's streamlabs.com/DB Talking Now/merch. And we have raincoats, we have long sleeve shirts, we have short sleeve shirts, we have tank tops. So if you like to work out at home, if you like to work at a gym, you can definitely wear the tank top and rep DB Talking Now that way. But if you work out at the gym, make sure that you wear the face cover, because we have to protect ourselves from a crazy little thing called COVID. And it is quite scary and quite vicious and quite vile. And I don't know about you, but I don't like vicious and vile and scary things. So please go ahead and protect yourself from the COVID by wearing your DB Talking Now face cover. Well, anyway, it was great being with you guys. Thank you. Happy Sunday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and go Birds, baby.